Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of those labels you see everywhere in the French real estate market. You know the one, BAT. It's got a lot more going on under the hood than you might think, so let's get into it. So if you're even thinking about buying or renting a place in France, you have definitely seen these letters from A to G plastered on property listings. But what story are they actually telling you? And more importantly, can you trust it? Let's find out. Okay, so this right here is the famous DPE. It's not just some colorful sticker. It is an official, mandatory document that a property owner has to show you for any sale or rental. Think of it as the energy report card for a home. Now, its purpose is pretty noble and straightforward: transparency. The whole idea is to let you know how much energy your future home might use and what its carbon footprint looks like. On paper, it's a fantastic tool for making an informed decision. And this is where things start to get really interesting. How does a property end up with a C or an F? Is that grade based on the actual energy bills of the people who lived there before? Or is it more like a lab simulation? Here's the key. There isn't just one method. For some older homes, they can actually use past utility bills. But for the vast majority of properties, they use what's called the 3CL method. This is a standardized calculation. It simulates energy use based on things like insulation, windows, and the heating system. But, and this is crucial, it assumes a standard use, which might be totally different from how you actually live. And you don't have to take my word for it. This official quote makes it crystal clear. The French government itself admits it. The DPE is not a prediction of your future energy bills. It's a theoretical estimate. It's kind of like the gas mileage a car gets in a perfect lab test, not what you get driving in rush hour traffic. Okay, so if it's such a technical estimate, the person doing the calculation must be a real expert, right? So let's take a look at who these professionals are and how they're regulated. The key player here is the diagnostiqueur immobilier. Not just anyone can sign off on a DPE. This is a professional who, in theory, has all the right training and certification to assess a property rigorously. And the list of requirements for them is seriously strict. They have to be certified by an accredited body. They need professional liability insurance in case they mess up, but this next one is the most important. They have to be completely independent. No ties to the owner, the real estate agent, or any construction company that might influence their judgment. Plus, every single DPE they issue gets sent to a central government database. So, if the technicians are so tightly controlled, the system should be foolproof, shouldn't it? Well, the reality is a little bit more complex. Who's watching the watchers? The system is basically a chain with several links. You've got the state, which sets the rules. Then you have the certification bodies that test and approve the technicians. The state agency, ADEME, collects all the data and can spot statistical anomalies, like if one apartment in a building has a wildly different rating than its neighbors. And finally, the Consumer and Fraud Agency, the DGCCRF, investigates any shady practices. But here comes a pretty heavy critique from a very authoritative source, the French Court of Auditors. In a recent report, they pointed out a fundamental weakness. The organizations that train the technicians and the ones that certify them sometimes have very close ties. And that could create conflicts of interest, potentially undermining the whole system's impartiality. And this number, from that same report, is an absolute jaw-dropper. In their spot checks, the anti-fraud agency found irregularities in 70% of the cases. Now, to be clear, this isn't always intentional fraud. A lot of the time, it's just because technicians don't fully understand the complex rules. But the result is the same. The certificate you receive might not be reliable. So let's talk about money. If you're a homeowner and you need to get one of these certificates to sell or rent your place, what's it going to set you back? Well, the cost really varies. A basic DPE might run you between 100 and 250 euros. But, and pay attention here, if your property gets a bad rating, an F or a G, and you want to sell it, the law requires a much more detailed energy audit, and the price for that audit is what shoots up, landing somewhere between 500 and 1,500 euros. And here's another crucial point for you as a consumer. There's no official price list. Each technician or company sets their own rates.
That means it is absolutely essential that you shop around and compare quotes. But, don't just go for the cheapest option because a price that's too good to be true might just be a red flag.
All right, let's recap the key takeaways here. First, remember your DPE is a theoretical estimate, not a guarantee of your future bills. Second, always insist on a certified technician and double-check their independence. Third, just be aware that the oversight system has some recognized weaknesses. And fourth, compare prices because they are not regulated by the government. One last practical tip. A standard DPE certificate is valid for 10 years. However, and this is a big one, if your home is what's known as a passoire thermique or an energy sieve with a grade of F or G, the law requires you to get that more thorough and expensive energy audit we mentioned, and that's only valid for 5 years. It's a clear push to get the least efficient homes on the market renovated. So we'll end with a question for you to think about. The DPE was created to be a key tool to make France's housing stock greener. But with its theoretical calculations, a flawed oversight system, and questions about its reliability, is it actually doing its job? Or does the whole system need a major overhaul to become the real engine for change that France is counting on? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.